I'm Travia Stewart, and I want to help you move past barriers and obstacles that are preventing you from getting what you want in life. This is Breakthrough. All right, my peeps. This lady that I have with me, and I don't know if I can just say this lady, but she's a phenomenon. And we have a mutual friend in common. And actually, it's because of him that we are sitting down and having this conversation today. Because I made a goal of just doing solo episodes in all of 2023. And Susan Brooks, my friend today, is my first interview, my first guest on the Breakthrough podcast in over a year. And so I just want to welcome you, Susan. I'm so excited about this conversation that we're going to have because you are definitely an enigma. How about that?
I've been called a lot of things. Enigma. That's fresh.
Yes, yes.
I'll take it.
Yes. So I love it. So, Susan, whenever Nick would talk about you, he would say, "Oh, this fiery redhead, she's full of spunk and pizzazz and just all of these really exciting characteristics." Where did that Susan come from? How was that Susan birth?
I have always been a trailblazer. Uh, when I was teaching high school English back in the day, which to this moment, teaching is my favorite thing to do. I taught high school English and I was in trouble all the time. This was before busing. This was when you had a state adopted textbook. And I had everything from what they called the basics to those are the students that never passed. And they're like almost my age when I was teaching that. They were still there, to the honors students. And I saw my job as an effort to turn them on to learning. So I took on the traditional modality and did very unique and wonderful things. And they say that I was responsible for my principal's heart attack because I drove him crazy. I was in trouble all the time, challenging the status quo. And then, my husband and I created cookies from home here in Arizona, in Tempe, actually. At that time, it was an unheard of concept, let alone a way to feed our two young children and pay the rent and all that. And we became a multi-million-dollar company, cookies.
Wow.
And we sold that company in 2010. And then, so that was a trailblazer because now look, there's brownies, there's there's edibles, there's all sorts of things that are in the marketplace. I don't know if it's edibles, it's edible, whatever, fruit. That company did fruit things. Anyway, we were the first. We were the first. So I'm known for that. And Nick is one of my favorite people in all the world. He makes me laugh.
Yeah.
He makes me think. He's very provocative. And he's my match for creativity and innovation. He's a great marketer. And he's got great friends like you and me.
Yes, he does. He's so lucky, isn't he?
Well, it's so early. Let's go right to his head.
Yes, it will. You know what? And it means the world to me that Nick listens to the podcast. It really does.
Oh, I hope he's on right now. You think? Did he have the link?
Well, it's not. No, it's just the two of us. It's not. It won't come out until next week.
Okay.
And so, yeah. So he'll be listening and probably watching because this is the first video in over a year as well. So I'm going back to video. But yeah, I think you were the one that Nick, the second I told him I was getting into life coaching, he was like, "Oh, I have a friend," but he never said the friend's name. And I'm pretty sure that you are the friend that he was originally referring to.
Better be.
You better be, right?
Better be.
Yes.
I've been coaching women business owners, especially because I was one when there weren't many of us at that time. So,
Right.
yeah, anything that I can do to help another, call my name.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Susan, I would love to talk about, so you are 77, right?
Yes.
And that's so wonderful. One of the things that I find, like, I don't meet many people like Susan Brooks at 77 who has the level of energy, the action and activity in your life. But where did that come from? Like, why? What is your mission? What is your why that, I read that, you're changing it. There's your name right there, changing the face of aging. What is your mission behind that?
Well, once I sold cookies from home back in 2010, and I continued coaching, but my purpose, my reason for getting up every day needed to be bigger than that. And just like you, just like everybody listening, from our first breath being born, we're aging every
Yeah.
single solitary minute. And as I was moving up in those years to where I am now at 77, I noticed that a mindset was necessary. And then, like so many times before, it was Jane Fonda, who today is 86. Not today,
Yes.
as, as of now, she's
Right.
86. But back in, I think it was 2011, she did a TED talk that talked about changing the paradigm of what aging looks like.
Yes.
Instead of, the peak that goes up and then levels off, and then you sink down into decrepitude and then you die. And that's hard to get up for every morning. I didn't want to do that, and neither did
Right.
she. And she changed that, and she said, it's really about an ascension where we grow and we get better and better, and of course leading up to heaven, but our own vitality, our authenticity, our uh our purpose continues. And right now, in this particular time of our history, we, meaning the boomers, uh, and there are lots of us. Well, we're not going to do it the old way. We're not going to surrender. We have more things to share, more things to experience, and we're the trailblazers that setting the model, the role model of what's possible. So,
Mm.
you look at Dr. Gladys McGarey, who's 102, and she just published her, I think, her seventh book. There are people within our lives that we know and live with, and there are people that we don't know, but we admire, Helen
Yes.
Mirren, Paul Simon's in his 80s. I mean, if you watch the Oscars, we were all out there with the white hair. I will not have white hair. Mine will be red till the very end. But, there's a value to our wisdom. There's a value to our life experience. Uh,
Mm.
and more than, I mean, our company, Cookies from Home, was a multi-million-dollar company. I did that. Now what? Well, if I can inspire women that are so afraid of taking risks, of getting older, of everything that can scare you,
Yeah.
what are they waiting for? They may as well go now. I'm not going to do that. And I don't think any other woman who is presented with an option of choosing how we age would choose to just surrender and wait to be called. We all know the ending. I mean, it's no
Yeah.
surprise. We all know how this story ends.
We do.
So, I want to have my last breath serving other people. So I'm teaching classes. The last 6-week class was about helping those people that are retired, You
Hmm.
know, for years, for 30 years, it was Susan Brooks cookies from home, and the two went together. Plus, we had the best cookies on the planet. So when that went away, it was sold and then they closed, unfortunately, over COVID. Um, you know, I needed a purpose that was significant, and
Mm.
this is one of the last levels of differential prejudice is ageism, and I'm here to tell you there's another way.
Wow, there's another way. Would you say the Jane Fonda TED Talk was your breakthrough? Like, was that the catalyst for this created Susan?
You know, her words have always inspired me.
Mhm.
But the real action that took place, because I knew something about being 75, 76, 70, I knew that there was material here. I started writing my newsletter, which comes out every month. It's totally free.
Yeah.
And it always has my opinion of sorts about aging. And it also features a role model, another person in our community or that I've met along the way. I interview them. And
Mhm.
every month it's a man or a woman that is beyond 65 that has some wisdom to share.
Right.
But the real breakthrough, Trey, the real breakthrough came during COVID, and I went to Modern Elder Academy. I don't know if you've ever heard of Chip Conley or the Modern Elder Academy. He was brand new back in 2020, but he wasn't brand new to the scene because
Mhm.
he's a marketing maven. He's done incredible things after he sold his very service oriented hotel, and Airbnb got a hold of him and said, come over here.
Yeah.
Teach us about this market. Teach us how to do this. And because everyone on this tech team was brilliant with technology, but they didn't know how to talk to each other, you
Mhm.
know, to
Mhm.
connect. And that's what Chip brought to the table. And they termed him the modern elder. And from
Okay.
there, he opened up the first midlife school in Baja, and he's about to open up the second location, which is in Santa Fe. And I took several of his classes and felt,
Okay.
and that was the breakthrough that put me into action. It was Jane that piqued me, and then I moved right into it.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I love it because we all have a breakthrough moment. And that's one of the things that I really work with my clients to figure out. Okay, my breakthrough moment was absolutely it was a conversation I had with my mother. And this is why it's so invigorating to have this conversation with you. And so my mother lived to be 85, Susan. And
Good
about
life.
6 months before she died, I said, girl, you're 85 years old and you've been walking this earth a long, long time. What are the things that you're proud of? And I got my phone and I was going to take notes. And then all she began to list was regret after regret after regret. I did this. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. I took care of everybody else's. I robbed Peter to pay Paul. And so when I sit here and have such a breath of fresh air conversation with someone like you, who's 77, who has the vitality of a 22-year-old, you really do. It's mind blowing, and
Thank you.
it has to be on purpose. So, what are your habits and behaviors that create this, Susan, with this vitality and this energy?
I think the most important thing that needs to happen in every moment of my everyday is to serve others. I have
Mhm.
always been a giver. I love to give. And what is that line that nothing is given unless it's received?
All right,
Isn't that a
right.
good line?
Yeah, that's a great line. Even
Uh,
compliments, right?
I, exactly. And how I'm speaking for myself, getting a compliment is harder for me than giving one. It
Right.
is that way. I wrote a book. Excuse me 1 second here.
Okay.
This is actually my second book. It's called Outrageous, Courageous, and Highly Contagious.
Wow.
And I want you to, and it's about people that are, that are breakthrough people. And, but as part of my research, speaking to your mother and that conversation, Bronnie Ware, I don't know if you know her.
Oh,
Or
I do. Oh, I do.
you do.
Yes.
She's an Australian palliative. She works with people that are dying.
Yeah. Right. The regrets of the dying. Yeah, I'm familiar with that book. I use it in my talks. Yeah, it's profound.
I wish I hadn't worked so hard.
Yeah.
I wish I stayed in touch with my friends. Well, now that's easy to do. We've got the internet, we've got the texting, we've got all that. I wish I let myself be happier.
Yeah.
Let it out now.
Yeah.
So I have your mother in my arms, and so sad that I wish I had the courage to express my true self.
Yep.
So, she lived her life looking for the approval of everybody else. And what a shame. My grandmother lived to be 98 and a half. She always corrected me. And I have, like my toddler, when my kids were toddlers, I'm 3 and a half. So it's a mindset. And that's why I hope in that moment, as sad and as hard on your heart that must have been, that your life is going to be different.
Absolutely. And that was the catalyst for me because, like you, I also was a teacher. Before I started coaching, I was a high school teacher for 24 years. Right? We have so much in common, you and me. We're friends.
And you taught English, did you say?
I taught theater.
Theater, even better.
Yes, yes. And so yeah, she was the catalyst.
I have to ask, what brought you down? What made you leave? Unfortunately, you and I are not there anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So imagine the ones that have stayed through all the transitions, though bless them. I don't know if I could teach with all the changes in there.
Right. Yeah. And I say, fortunately, we're not there anymore because I'm just in my next chapter. What made me, step out and go, okay, because that's comfortable, right? We all sit like my mother always said, like we have this recliner that we sit in and it gets more and more comfortable. Well, that's what life is, right? And then it's harder to get up, it's harder to leave. And that's what it was. And so that conversation in my mother, I just knew that I wanted more. I just knew that I was more than I had become. I wasn't living up to my potential. And if I asked myself that question that I asked my mother, what are you proud of? And I was 47 then, and I looked at it and went, well, what am I proud of? And I had a few little things that I could say, but nothing really big. And I believed that I was made to do great things. And so, but again, I'm still comfortable. I did not take action until a fire was lit under my butt of early stage breast cancer in 2020. Yep. So
there you go.
There you
Life
go.
and death.
Yep.
And your body carried that information for a long time before you took action. And then once you got the message, you did act. No time to waste.
Absolutely.
My husband of 57 years. It's almost natural that we've
Congratulations. That's huge.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Well, he got pancreatic cancer. And if you know anything about pancreatic cancer, the odds are not real good.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, 3 years later, he just came from teaching a Zumba class to seniors, which is what he did before. When I met him,
Mhm.
I was 18, engaged at 19 and married at 20. For some reason, I was in such a hurry. Uh, the qualities that made me know that this was it for me
Yeah.
was he was a great kisser. I think that's
Oh.
he still is, and he's a great dancer. What else
Mm.
do I need to know, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So he's
Yes.
back to doing dancing. He's back to doing, uh, the things that move his spirit and mine, and
Yeah.
that's exciting. So that's what happened to you. You said, no more. I'm not settling.
Absolutely.
I'm not compromising. I'm out
Yeah.
of
Right.
here.
So speaking of, what's your husband's name?
Barry, Bar.
Barry. Gotcha. 57 years. That's amazing.
It
So
is.
amazing, right?
It is.
So many people after all that time. I mean, so many people, we're talking about after 5, 6, 7, 10 years, 57 years, so many people settle, get stagnant, right? How do you and Barry implement this vitality in your marriage, especially after 57 years?
Well, one thing that Barry tells me often is he's never bored.
Mm,
And I think when you say it's comfortable, another word for that is it's familiar.
yes.
That recliner, you back up into it, and it knows your body. It knows where things go, and where things,
Yes.
and it's familiar, and that's as dangerous as comfortable. uh,
Gotcha.
because if you're going to be sedentary, that's again a choice. It's a choice.
Mm,
So I think taking control of uh, of how I want to live my life is what keeps me in the present moment. As much as I'm a planner, as much as I schedule, that's true. All of that is true.
yeah.
But I can change on a dime if I'm inspired or ready
Mm,
to make a pivot or turn it around.
absolutely.
That's what keeps
Absolutely.
life exciting. In fact, the next class that I'm teaching is moving forward into awe. And
Yes.
people say, "Why did you pick awe? What's awe?" Well, it's our fuel.
Mhm.
It's the magic of being alive, and it could happen as you're taking your walk down the street and you see a flower coming out of a crack in the sidewalk.
Yeah.
It can happen, and in Arizona, it's almost every day. The sunset. Uh, how does all that color there, and next moment it'll be gone.
Yeah.
You gotta catch it. You gotta live it. You gotta be there. You gotta be present to win.
Right. So it's amazing how obviously you've done the work. You are this person right now. But for someone listening, right, who is like, they're not on the other side like you are. But for someone listening,
Well, I'm
what
not on the other side yet. I'm still above the grass. You know.
right, right. But you're so aware to be
Yeah.
present, the awe. You're aware of your thinking. But for someone who is not, who is like settling in their relationships, they're settling in life. What is that rewired thinking that you would have them do?
Well, you said it already, really, Trey. You said it's the awareness. It starts with the awareness. When is the last time that you experienced something new?
Mm,
We go to the same restaurants, we order the same thing, whatever our favorite has been. We have the same friends. Uh, luck, hopefully, but meeting new people, meeting different ages, meeting different face to face with different cultures.
yeah.
Um, we that's our fuel. That's our fuel. And the awe is the part that just stays alive by the inspiration that nature, children, puppies, all of these delicious entities of aliveness touch our heart. And I'll share briefly that this past October, we hadn't traveled for a while because Barry was still in recovery and wasn't able to go far. But we did make it last October. We flew into Asheville at the peak of their autumn season. We have friends there. And I lost my voice by the second day. I'm a screamer. What can I say? Anytime we got on the Blue Ridge Parkway and we see yellow, or we turn the bend and we see red, and I'm talking like plugged in. I mean, we live in Arizona. We have a different kind of beauty, a different kind of. So awareness is the first step, I think. The second step, I think, is acceptance. And many people skip that particular step. They go right from awareness into action. Well, the first thing I got to do is I got to start walking, or I got to lose weight, or I got to that stuff. And I say, wait, stop. In that awareness, I'm recognizing a lot of things I don't like. I've put on weight. I have a constant cough, and I'm not happy about it. In fact, I'm angry because it slows me down. Well, that's not going to do anything but make it worse, right?
Right.
So acceptance is, I'm 77. I exercise, I walk all the time, but I don't run anymore. I'm not going to jump out of a plane. That was always something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'll be on the plane, but I won't jump out of the plane. I have osteoporosis. I'm not. So recognizing that our bodies are our mechanism, and anything that's 77 years old on this planet needs repair.
Yeah.
Needs to be taken care of, needs to be re-oiled, needs to be conditioned. I need to see the dentist, the eye doctor, the heart doctor. I mean, and I accept that, and I'm grateful that I do, because I'm already planning my 100th birthday. I don't know what I'm going to wear yet, but, and you're coming.
Yes, I am. I love this. Yes, totally. There are not many people who say they're planning their 100th birthday. Most people go, "Oh, I don't want to live that long." I want to live that long.
I want to live that long. I have 5 grandchildren, and they're now, they're not babies anymore. They're 19 and 23, and I got to see how this turns out.
Absolutely.
I've got to see who they're going to choose as their partners, what they're going to do in their life, with their life.
Yes.
And hopefully my fingerprints are all over their backs. I hope.
I bet they are.
But my job is to love them and accept them, whoever they are and whatever their choices are.
Right.
I want them happy more than anything else.
So good. So good. So, I love the quote that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Who are those people that you surround yourself with, and what does it bring into your life that, like, you're intentionally surrounding yourself because of how they fill your cup?
I have one friend that has been my best friend for more than 50 years.
Wow.
And because we share that history, and because there's so much relevance in our day-to-day that keeps the relationship hot. I mean, I'll see a movie, she'll see a movie, I'll love it, she'll hate it. She also was an English teacher. In fact, I was hired to be in her place when she was pregnant with her first, and I had just had my first. So, I mean, there's a karmic agreement between us.
Okay.
I have another, and you know what? I'm going to tell you, it's women. I love women. I love the brilliance and the search and the hunger that comes from relationships with women. I love my husband. I love Nick. I have a lot of men friends, but it's my women that any time of day or night, if I need, or if they need, I'm there. And we're all growing. And we're experiencing being 77 or 81. And we celebrate that.
Yeah.
So, and then there's the new people that I meet that become the friends that I've been looking for, that keeps life interesting.
Absolutely.
So, my grandmother was important to me. She was my light. And as I said, she lived to be 98 and a half. I've lost some modern elders that have shown the way, shine the light on my next step. But you know what? They're with me still, just like your mom is.
Of course, she is.
We're close all the time.
Oh, we're closer than ever. Absolutely. We are.
I think there's so much to learn yet from each other, those that are here and those that have passed.
Yes.
And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I look for that. It doesn't just happen. I pursue it. And hopefully, I love being found. So it works both ways.
Yeah. I love how you said that. I don't just wait for it. I look for it. You seek it out. And that is such an important ingredient, is that we're being intentional. We're seeking things out. And you are an example of that. So,
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. What do you hope? What do you hope those grandkids that you want to be around, they have your fingerprints on their back? What do you hope they say about you when you're 102 and you've left this earth?
Well, my grandchildren are my teachers because I was a working mom when I had my children.
Yeah.
And that wasn't real popular, Trey. There were a lot of people that had judgment. What are you doing here? You have a baby at home. How come you're here? Because I have to be here.
Yeah.
Because not only, was it good because I earned money to contribute to our household, but the civil rights movement, the women's movement, all of that was going on when I was changing diapers. Now, someone else can do that. I have to get out there. I have to get in that front line and make things happen and support the things that I believe in, like women's rights. I mean, here we are. We're still talking about Roe versus Wade. I mean,
right.
and I have to admit, being my age and having peace, love, and happiness as being my standby core values, it saddens me. It is disheartening. It makes me angry that our world is so polarized and so broken. So I hope that by the time I leave the planet, there will be some marks of progress. Uh,
Mhm.
and I used to have it, and I bet you did too in the classroom. I
Oh,
did
absolutely.
bring it there. In fact, the real reason before I chose to leave teaching was when I was teaching a film class, which at that time was unheard of. But studying the romantic poets of Byron, Shelley, and Keats, the films were saying this, and Simon and Garfunkel and Bob Dylan and they were all saying the same thing
Yeah.
beyond generational changes. So I assigned the film Easy Rider. Do you remember that film?
I don't know that film.
Before your time, I guess. Well, those of you listening, you remember Easy Rider, with Jack Nicholson and Peter Fonda. And anyway, it was an R-rated film. I didn't know that. I just knew it was right. So on Monday morning, even though we did all the research, we met at a student's home. The parents were home at the time. It was a dissection of a poem better than anything that I could bring to the classroom otherwise. And people were there voluntarily if they wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I did my job. We had a sellout crowd. And on Monday morning, I was called into this same principal that said I gave him his heart attack. This might have been his first stroke. I don't know. But a couple parents had called. I was teaching in an all-white middle class. Busing hadn't happened then.
Mhm.
School. So he threatened me with my job. I was a 2-year teacher at that time and pregnant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was a moment in my life that I'll always remember and be grateful for.
Mm.
But it changed people's thoughts and it
Yeah.
changed people's opinions, and we could talk into the night about that. But I would
Yeah.
suggest see the film.
Okay. Okay. You got it. You got it. So, as we begin to wrap up, I love having these conversations, and part of, a lot of people like I love to travel. I love to go hang out and have a good beer, but I love to have good conversation during those times. And so,
Or at any time.
or at any time, right? But
You.
especially like because I love, like my mom always said, "Oh my God, you're just a nosy little girl. You like to talk a lot. You talk too much." And I love to talk. And that's why I have a podcast. I love to talk. But this
Why
has
we
been
were
such a
teachers.
exactly. But this has been such a great, insightful, and enlightening conversation, and I thank you for it. So,
Me
if
too.
you would be so kind to share what is like for people, especially who are local here in the Phoenix area, tell me about moving forward into all. You have, is it a class? It's a 6 week thing. Tell us about what that's about.
It's a 6-week class. It is in person. I've had some pushback on that, but it has to be because
Mm,
we need the personal connection. COVID, talk about getting comfortable and
yes.
being familiar, and this kind of contact can happen on Zoom, and I love it. You're a fabulous interviewer and person,
Thank
but
you.
it has to be it has to be that we look in each other's eyes, that we can touch each other, hug each other. So this is in
Yeah.
person at the JCC, which is in North Scottsdale. It lasts for 6 weeks, and it starts April 4th. I think the class is $60, which is nominal. That's like $10 a class. But
Absolutely.
it really it's really a wake up call, to wake up your body, your physical sense, your mental, emotional sense, because awe feels good.
Yes.
And think about the last time that you were just knocked out for something beautiful or fabulous, and it just went. If you
Yeah.
watched the Academy Awards, you watched Emma Stone,
Oh, I did. I did.
and
Yes.
she's gulping air there, Trey.
Uh-huh.
She couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
She was so awestruck that she couldn't.
Mhm.
And of course, so many of my teenage grandchildren and their friends use the word awesome, awesome. Well, what does that mean? It
Right.
means we need to bring more awe into our life. It's good for
Mm,
our health. It's good for our immune system. I mean, there's a physical reaction to all of this. And you also need to learn, which is part of what this class is all about, how to be brave. Because in order to be brave, you
mm,
have to take chances, you have to take
yeah.
risks, like your mother did not do.
Right.
She stayed in the comfort zone. I don't know anybody there, or I've never been there before, or sushi, what's that?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to say, you know what it is? It's fear of the unknown. It's fear
Mm,
of failure. Those are real. Those are real. I'm
absolutely.
not denying I think about that every day. I have a limited amount of time left in my life. I know that. So I'm going to make sure that my days are filled like we're doing right now.
Yes.
This is fuel for me. This makes me happy to be alive. Why else go through, you know, seeing the dentist and, whatever it is that I have to get a thicker lens. I mean, yeah, aging is a bitch.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But my awareness is that, but my acceptance is, yeah, I got to take care of this machine. I got to feed it right.
Yes.
I got to drink my water. I got to, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to be as healthy as I can be and as relevant in my mind as I can be.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm just taking up space. So that
Mm,
is, if I can just put this up for a minute,
absolutely.
the information.
Yes. So good. And I will link it in the show notes as well.
Oh, bless you. Bless you.
Yes.
We have
Yes.
5 openings available. Other than that, the classes.
Okay. Yeah. So good. So, Susan, this has been an incredible time with you. Thank you. And thank you for starting early. I love to start early. I was ready and I was like, but I send the link because sometimes I send the link and if I'm not in the studio, it like locks out. And so I like to prep and everything. So Susan
You're a
was ready
teacher, Greg.
early. I
You,
know.
you
I
didn't
know.
go in there and just off the top of your head present a lesson.
No, you're right. You're right.
An
You're
agenda,
absolutely right.
goal. That's something that I love it. Thank you.
Yep.
We are
Yep.
of the same ilk.
Absolutely. So, for the people listening, again, I'm going to leave all this information in the show notes. But what is your preference? All the people who have now fallen in love with Susan, how do you want them to connect with you?
Email.
Email. Okay.
Susan at susanlbrooks.com.
Yes. Okay. I got it. Okay. Perfect. And what about the interwebs? What about, LinkedIn? You like for people to connect there?
LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm on all of those. I had to limit my social media technology lack of expertise. I'll admit it. Listen, you were born and others were born with a mouse in your hand. It's like a new language for me, but I'm working it.
I get it.
Facebook especially, and LinkedIn for sure.
Okay.
I'm there.
Okay. All right. Well, Susan, this has really been the highlight of my day. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and most importantly, your vitality for how you're living your life as a 77-year-old. I hope to have half the energy that you have today when I'm 77.
You got it.
Absolutely. And now, yeah, and I want to be 100 also.
All right. And I'm going to figure out what I'm going to wear to your party.
There we go. I love it. All right.
Bless you.
Susan.
Thank you.
Bless you too. All right. I'll be in touch.
Can't wait.
Okay.